Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural Ladies in Their 80s Talking Football. So, my name is Troy Lewis, and I speak with my mom and my Aunt Grace. My mom is on the left in the Skywalk Grand Canyon sweatshirt that she and I visited a couple of years ago. There's my cousin Sharon in the background walking up the steps. I don't know why she's on this set, but that's another story. And then I've got my Aunt Grace on the right-hand side in the lime green, light-colored outfit. And they are ladies in their 80s. And I am Troy Lewis. I am Mama's son and my Aunt Grace's nephew. And, so this whole thing kind of started a few years ago when I was talking about a football game that I was going to try to figure out who to bet on. And I I was stuck. And I said, "Oh, Mama, I can't bet on that kid. His name is PJ Walker, and I don't even know who he is." And Mama said, "His name is PJ Walker, and he's from Temple." And I go, "Okay." And so that was when I first realized that my mom at 82 kind of knew a bit more about sports and football than I did. And my Aunt Grace, who is a lovely lady who's about to turn, we're not even going to go through what she's about to turn. But yeah, they're ladies in their 80s talking football. So, Mama and Aunt Grace, do you want to say anything about yourselves? Or no, you just want me to keep talking?
You keep talking.
All
Sounds
right,
good,
good job.
Troy.
All right. So Mama, Aunt Grace, and I, and a number of other family members, we do a what's called a survivor pool or a suicide pool, and we are involved in that. And Mama and Aunt Grace both had Buffalo. I had Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Chicago, and Atlanta. So two of my teams got eliminated. So I had four. So two of mine are out. But Mama and Aunt Grace, when you were watching, did you keep track of the game, the Buffalo game on Sunday, or do you just walk away and go to eat dinner somewhere? How does that work out?
Uh, we watched it off and on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when it really got to the end, we didn't watch it, period, until it was over. So
All right. So
then
when
it was a good
when-
result.
say that again, Aunt Grace.
Then it was a good result.
Okay. So when it's a good result, you can keep watching it. I think when it's a bad result, you kind of walk away from it. 2 years ago, just just for fun, I was about to text my Aunt Grace when the Jets were playing the Browns, and the Jets were up, I think, 11 with about a minute 58 to go. And I was about to text her, and I didn't do it. And I was going to say, "Congratulations, Aunt Grace, you've moved on to week 3." And that didn't work out. The Browns came back. You remember that game, Aunt Grace?
I moved on to heartache.
Aunt Grace moved on to heartache. All right, so Aunt Grace, before I get into Mama and her involvement with football, because Mama was not a big football person growing up. Aunt Grace, how long would you say you've been following football?
Well, since Randall Cunningham,
Okay, so
that was my first.
the 80s.
Yes,
Okay. And so you and your husband John, you were big Eagles fans?
definitely.
Okay.
With Randall and Vic and McNabb and all the rest that followed.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mama, when would you say that you got involved with football? I'm going to share my opinion when I think you got involved with football. But
Uh,
share yours.
let's see if we're on the same key. I started getting interest in football when Michael Vick went to Virginia Tech.
Okay.
And
That would
All
have
right.
been around 90,
99,
2000.
98,
Okay.
somewhere in there, yeah.
Uh-huh. And why were you interested in Michael Vick?
Because he came from the peninsula, Newport News.
All right. And so for those of you listening in, our roots are in the Middle Peninsula area of Virginia. And that's kind of where we all grew up, in Saluda, Virginia, population 350, and now it's about 750. But Newport News is about 40, 45 miles away from where we grew up. And we always kind of followed the people who were coming out of our, quote unquote, as Grandpa Lattimore would say, neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
Yeah. So so over the years, Mama and Aunt Grace, I know that we've had a lot of ups and downs with our picks in the again, going back to, we are in this survivor pool. So what are your prospects for this year? Have you even thought about who you're going to take for week 2?
No.
No.
We have to see who's playing who
Okay.
and how they did this past week.
So would you say that week 1 is easy to get through, or week
No.
1 is hard to get through?
No, that's the hardest, I think.
And why would you say that's the hardest, Mama?
I'd say it's the hardest because they're coming off the off season and you just don't know how they're going to play. And they proved that yesterday.
And
We had some upsets.
what would you say proved? Is there one game in particular that proved that yesterday?
Yes.
And what game would that be?
That would be the Patriots in Cincinnati. Yes.
Yeah.
That was not supposed to happen.
I'm raising my hand. I had the Cincinnati Bengals with one of my picks. So, you know, as I was watching the game, I kept saying they're at home. They're a minus 340 favorite. And for those of you listening in, minus 340 means that that team is very heavily favored. You have to bet $340 to win 100 on that team. And that was a team that the vast majority of people who do a survivor pool, the vast majority of picks went to Cincinnati. In a pool that we are involved in, that eliminated about a third of the people. So yeah, nobody saw that coming. Hats off to the New England Patriots for having a great game, and we're happy for Jacoby Brissett and their new coach who took the place of Bill Belichick, and you know, kudos to them. But I wasn't happy with that, because that look at Mama's face. Mama's like, no. That eliminated my little brother. That eliminated his pick. And my cousin Tarita, that eliminated their picks. They both had Cincinnati. So, you know, in looking at next week, you know, I'm just looking at it here on my phone. Did either one of you ever consider New Orleans for this past week?
No, but I saw
No.
saw some of the results.
Yeah.
We won't be picking the Panthers.
You know, to that, I think to go against the Carolina Panthers each week might be the way to go. Whoever Carolina's playing might be a way to go. They looked awful, and you know, no one really expected that much from the Saints. So that might be one option.
Mhm.
You
But
know,
who knows when the Panthers are
Well,
gonna wake up?
Yeah, they'll come alive when you least expect it.
well, as the three of us all know, that's why they kind of call it wagering. You never know what might happen. You never know what might happen.
Suicide pool, huh?
Yes, the suicide pool, and that's why you just never know. So the Chargers are on the road next week at Carolina.
Mm,
You know, it's been a rule of thumb that we try to avoid a road team as
mhm.
much as possible because we know how hard it is to win on the road. Even if it's the Kansas City Chiefs, it's hard for them, for anybody in the NFL to win on the road. And I've coached Mama and Aunt Grace to avoid road teams as much as possible. Uh, where are we? Okay. So one other game that I wanted to point out, where did it go? I'm scrolling through it on my phone. So Aunt Grace, I know you're a big Eagles fan. What are your thoughts on the Eagles versus Kirk Cousins next Monday night?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, who,
He
I
used to be with
think-
Minnesota.
right,
Now he's with Atlanta.
Atlanta, right.
And they were awful against the Steelers.
Yes.
That was one of my picks, was Atlanta
Oh my
against the
goodness.
Steelers. I thought Atlanta would come out and just the
Yeah,
Steelers are a ground attack, keep it close, kick field goals, which is what they did.
right.
But I thought Atlanta would score more than 10 points.
Yeah. I was surprised when Pittsburgh pulled that one out.
Yeah. But I know y'all a big Mike. Oh, go ahead, Aunt Grace.
No, I was gonna say I would go with the Eagles over Atlanta.
Yeah, I think so.
They have a lot of, as they say, weapons now with the Barkley. Hey, 3
Yes.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I think that it's unfortunate that Saquon, he was kind of the sole focus when he was with the Giants.
Right,
And now that he's got more weapons with the Eagles,
right.
I think teams won't be able to focus on him so much.
Mm-hmm.
Give him more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Eagles have a lot going for them
Yeah,
this year.
He played a heck of a game yesterday.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
No,
Sorry,
Friday.
Thursday.
Thursday.
No, you're right, Mama. It was Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. So, Mama, as you bring that up, what do you think about the NFL going down to Brazil to play?
I thought that was kind of weird.
They were talking about the slippery turf down there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
And I just think it's too far for teams to travel.
Yes. I just couldn't see what the purpose was. What are we trying to promote there?
And Mama, as maybe one day Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, maybe he'll tune in to ladies in their 80s who might be able to give him a bit of advice where they would say, Roger Goodell, what are you trying to prove? Where are you going to go next? Antarctica? Like, why? Why are we doing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's wrong? Hey, it's enough. We got to go to England and play.
Yeah.
But Brazil,
We have to go to Sao Paulo. I mean, like, why? Well, why do we have to go to Brazil? It's a 10, 12-hour plane ride.
I know.
Something I heard on the radio today, with Jordan Love, the quarterback for the Green Bay
Yes.
Packers, he hurt his knee. And as we all know, because we've had our injuries over the years, the more you're in the air, the more stress that's going to cause on your body. So I'm sure that flight coming back from Brazil all the way back to Green Bay for Jordan Love, I'm sure that was not good for his knee. Mama, it looks like you want to say something.
no,
Okay.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, they say he's got about 4 weeks out or something.
Yeah.
They're saying 4 to 6 weeks. You never know what's called an MCL, That was his injury.
Oh,
At least it's not an ACL. An ACL is a lot longer
mhm.
recuperating period, but fortunately, he only had an MCL. But as Wilt Chamberlain said, you know, every injury is minor unless it's yours.
That's a good one.
And
Yes.
that, just as an FYI, my mom on the left in the Skywalk sweatshirt, she helped get me interested in sports when I was a little boy. She subscribed me to Sports Illustrated in 1969. And I had every Sports Illustrated for about 30 to 40 years. But she felt that that would help to develop my reading skills. And I really appreciate her uh, giving me a Sports Illustrated subscription back in 1969 when I know she could not afford it.
Afford it,
Yeah.
definitely.
But Mama, I can never thank you enough because having access to Sports Illustrated opened me up to so much other stuff that I really was not exposed to in the little town that we lived in Virginia called Saluda, that was 350 people roughly, with one stoplight in the whole county. And we just got our second stoplight. We might have three now.
3?
Yeah, well, there's one in Saluda. I think there's one down the county at Topping.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah. And I think that's, oh, Mama, we got two in Saluda. We got the one up there by the Hardys.
No, there's no stoplight at Hardee's.
When you have to make a left and get on
No.
17, it's just a stop. It's just a
Stop
stop.
sign.
Oh, okay. And I don't think there's any up the county.
No.
Okay, so we have moved to two stoplights. When I was growing up, it was just a flashing light.
You know, I think they may have one in Urbana, I heard, but I'm not certain.
I know they had one for a bit, but I thought it got changed to a flashing light or a stop sign. But it
And
might
it may
be.
have.
Yeah, for anyone who might pick up on our channel as we move forward, maybe they can send us a note in the YouTube chat and let us know. You know, Mama, we haven't been to Urbana since about 2015 or 16, so we might have to check that out.
Yes, it's been quite a few years since I've been over there. Yeah.
So I'm going to close with, because I told Mama and Aunt Grace I would not keep them on for more than 15 or 20 minutes, and I think we're already past that time frame.
Oh,
And I know they were a bit nervous. But this hasn't been so bad, has it?
Very
No.
apprehensive, but it's been good. It's been just like sitting down at the table talking with
Talking to
you.
me, and I told y'all I would make it easy for you. But you know, the people that I talked to at work, and I was telling them that I wanted to start this channel where I talk to my mom and my Aunt Grace, ladies in their 80s, about football and how it's a neat way for us to connect each week. We do it anyway because we're trying to figure out who we're going to bet on with our survivor pool. So I just thought it would be neat for people to listen in and see how the ladies in their 80s are staying abreast of what's going on in the NFL. And I will say this, when I was growing up in elementary school, in high school, and in college, I don't ever remember Mama, the lady on the left in the Skywalk t-shirt. I don't ever remember her watching a football game.
no. I did something else when football was on.
So my stepdad, Gerald, God rest his soul, was a big football fan. He was a big Washington Redskins fan, now known as the Commanders. But he would try to get Mama interested in football, but she just would not partake of it. But now that Mama has an interest in football because of having an interest as in the survivor pool. She's really into it. And I will say this, last year during the NFL playoffs, Mama started with, I think it was $20. She bet 6 games in a row and she won all 6 during the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, right.
I don't know anyone who went 6-0 in the playoffs last year, except my mom.
I do my research.
Yes, yes, she does. She does her research, and I'll wrap it all up with, just a few years ago, she knew who PJ Walker was, who was going to be the quarterback for the Colts, when I had no idea who he was or where he went to college. So with that, I will wrap up ladies in their 80s talking football. Join us here again on the Ladies in Their 80s Talking Football channel or network, whatever you want to call it. It's my goal that we meet each Monday night during the Monday night football game. And you know what? As I say that, let me see what the spread is right now.
So we now know when we're going to meet.
Yeah, so I've got the 49ers tonight. Not in my survivor pool, but I took them when I bet on FanDuel. And so I have the 49ers to just win tonight. That was my bet.
Mhm.
Yeah. So right
I
now,
go along with
13-7 with 6:54 to go in the second quarter.
What's
Wow.
the score?
13-7, 49ers up over the Jets. And I
Okay.
bet on the 49ers, just as an FYI, the team losing the Super Bowl in the last 27 years, the team that lost the Super Bowl, so for example, the 49ers lost last
Right.
year to the Chiefs, in week 1, they are 6-21 against the spread. So in week 1, 27 games against the spread, they lose 6 out of 21 times.
Okay.
Tonight, I said, you know what? I'm taking my chances with the 49ers because the Jets have a quarterback who's 40 years old coming back off of an Achilles injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's just hard to come back from at 40 years of age. Look at how bad Kirk Cousins looked against the Steelers on Sunday. I felt he was awful.
Well, I went with Jets. So we'll see.
For anyone listening in, anytime I bet against Mama, I've been wrong. I hope she's wrong tonight. Say something funny, Aunt Grace.
Huh? I don't have any. I can't top that one.
And the only way I'll ever bet for the 49ers is I have no other alternative.
I know why.
That's right.
Do we want to share that or no?
Because of Kaepernick. Simple as that. I have my principles.
Yep, we'll leave it at that. And my mom is a very principled woman. And yeah, we felt that somebody, at least the 49ers, should have picked up Colin Kaepernick. And, I'm just going to go out here for a second. That's what America is all about, is freedom of speech and being able to say or protest in a polite way, any way you want, because that's what makes us different from other countries.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I served, and that's why Eddie, Darnell, Tony, Uncle D, Gerald, Neil,
And
Uncle Eddie. Wasn't Uncle Frank? Was Uncle Frank?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uncle
Yes.
James.
Uncle
Mhm.
James and
And
Uncle
Uncle
Frank as
Frank.
well.
Mm-hmm.
That's why 9 of us have served, to allow others to protest in a peaceful way. All right, enough on that. This is about ladies in their 80s talking football. I know I have kept my mom and Aunt Grace longer than I said I would, but thank you all for tuning in, and we will see the ladies in their 80s next week, next Monday night.
Be looking forward to it.